Welcome to Buzzwords, coming at you from the Noisy Spoon Sunroom Saloon, bourbon, beers, books, and more, where the pool vacuum just winked at me.
Ooh.
Creepily.
Very well done. Very well done.
So, Scott,
Yes, Greg.
what are you drinking tonight?
So I have two drinks in front of me. I have a lemon slushy, which is literally just lemonade.
It's just lemonade. There's no alcohol.
There's no alcohol in it.
Okay,
And I have a Great Lakes Irish Lager
nice.
for my first beverage. Well, it's actually like my third, but it's my first on-air beverage.
We're recording in the evening, so there you go. Yeah.
All right, Howie, what do you got?
Well, I drank a Coke a few minutes ago, and I'm following that up with a Grande Triple with coffee and vanilla from the Omegang Brewery, based out of Cooperstown, New York.
I've been there. It's a wonderful place.
Cooperstown or the brewery?
The brewery.
Yeah. Both places are.
We did a brewery tour, and Wendy couldn't go with me into the tasting unless she also bought tickets, but she doesn't drink beer. So I had double the beers. It was glorious. When I
And
used
you're
to
not a
drink
beer drinker.
I used to be a big beer drinker, but now, I don't know, after I turned like 45, something changed with my body, and it just makes me feel not great afterwards.
Gotcha.
Though I did have one. I was down at the Lock Tender for the July 5th celebration here, and I had a beer. It was really good.
Cool.
And I'm drinking a 1792 Bottled and Bond.
Oh, that's from 1792?
Oh, it's a long. That's the name of the bourbon, 1792.
Is that when it was established?
I don't think so, because this is
You just think they picked some random letters.
Yes,
or
exactly.
Numbers, yeah.
My favorite when it comes to years like that is when you look at the bottle of A1 steak sauce, and it's like having the same steak sauce, same recipes, like 1863 or something like that. It's like, yeah, that's just what America needed in the middle of the Civil War, was somebody to invent a new steak sauce.
Yeah, definitely.
That's because they had to make hardtack taste better somehow.
My favorite is Yingling, which I never heard of until about 10 years ago.
Oldest brewery in America.
But if it was the oldest brewery in America, why hadn't I heard of it until 10 years ago? I think they're gaslighting us.
So, side story, my wife's grandmother, her first husband was Bob Yingling. So her oldest aunt and her oldest uncle are Yinglings.
I'm
Same
sure if
family.
we go back far enough, we're all going to find relatives that we have distantly that are high in stature of some sort.
And then what happened to us?
Well, yeah, and
We have a podcast.
And your wife was related to the Rascom family too,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. I don't remember if we had that conversation on air or not.
No, we had it. You were in New York,
Right.
and it was in our chat.
John Jacob Rascom from Lockport, New York, who died on October 15th, which is the same day that Lee Iacocca was born.
Okay.
He was the architect of the Chrysler Building.
Okay.
So the architect of the Chrysler Building died on the same day that Chrysler's most famous CEO was born, which also happens to be my birthday, and he's from Lockport, New York. That's just like that's a weird Venn diagram if ever I've seen one.
Yes. Yeah. My
And the
biggest
fact that you know all that just makes me want to know if you're going to watch Wapner later.
I watched so much Wapner growing up.
No, my biggest claim to fame is saying I'm distantly related to people in Hollywood, but they don't know me. I don't know them. I just know it's the same last name. So
All right.
works for me. And we are distantly related, but maybe one of these days we'll meet. Doubtful, but who knows?
We
So,
should talk about books sometime.
I think we should. That's what this podcast is about, right?
Is it?
Yeah, I think so. So
I've gotten positive feedback so far, so that's good.
yeah, I've heard a couple people say some good things.
I've heard one person say some decent things.
Do you live with said person?
I do live with that person.
That's a good thing, though.
Yeah.
If they were saying bad things, then that would be a problem.
Yeah.
So
I think that your person you live with is the only one of the three who listens to the podcast.
you know.
Because my wife does not.
but it's a little.
She listens to you enough.
Well, it's kind of funny that of all the podcasts that we have done together in the past, this is the one that they're not listening to,
I know.
which strikes me as odd because this is the one that I think is tamest and most accessible.
The dads must be crazy was
That was fun, but it's also what 6 years ago at this point.
it was during COVID.
Yeah,
We stopped
so-
because of COVID.
I thought we started it because of COVID.
And we stopped because of it.
Oh, okay.
We had like 60 episodes of that one.
Which
So it
I don't
was-
remember doing 60, but my goodness.
I've read this stat before, and I'll say it again. The average podcast lasts 9 episodes.
Wow.
I think we might be able to do that.
I think we should be able to do that, and we'd be silly if we don't. So anyway, we're not going to get there unless we start talking books. And today's book is something that I called Craig about, and he says, I just borrowed it from the library. I read it. It's amazing. And I flew through this book faster than anything I've read recently. And the book is titled.
It's not a long book either.
No, it is not a long book at all, but it packs an incredible punch. And it is called The Infinite Sadness of Small Appliances. And it only came out earlier this year. And I would say, 15 minutes before we started recording today, I was telling Craig and Scott, I think I told you this as well. We're starting with Scott's review on Goodreads to get us jump started into this whole thing, because I think it really encapsulates what the book is about. And I think we can jump from there and just start going off from there. So if you don't mind, I'll read your review if that's okay.
At least someone's going to read it.
Hey, Craig read it earlier and he agrees. So Scott did not want to read this book. In fact, he starts off by saying, I read this at the suggestion of my book club, which is Craig and I and Scott. He said there were several times while reading it that I outright hated them for suggesting it. That's not to say it's not well done. I just wasn't prepared for the emotions. I mean, Infinite Sadness should have given me some clue. But it was a lot more than I expected. Okay, quick summary. Harold and Edie live in a futuristic smart house. The appliances know what needs done and when it's needed. His fridge orders the things he's low on. The vacuum comes out when the floor is dirty. Even the car turns on when Harold needs it without being told. Then Edie dies. The appliances aren't sure what to do. And the vacuum, who decides that her name is Scout, yes, after To Kill a Mockingbird, wants to help more than she's allowed to. And the other appliances, especially Harold's watch, who basically runs the house, scold her. Harold's estranged daughter, Katie, comes to help him in his time of grief. And, well, this is where the story really picks up. And I'm going to just read one more paragraph because I can tell that, too long is going to be too long, right? Look, I'm a fairly emotional guy. These are Scott's words, not mine. I always cry at the Folgers Christmas commercial, like every time.
That's true, though.
It's one of those. Is it the one where the son comes home
Peter,
early?
yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Every time, though.
There are certain commercials that all of us, they hit harder the older we get. So some of the dialogue in this really got me. This is back to the book. At one point, I sat in my car and cried when a particularly difficult part had timed out right as I got home. I think I actually cried once or twice more and was on the verge of crying more times than I can remember. So in other words, this is an emotional book. Dude. I could go further, but this is, I think, where we should start today, because this is an emotional book.
So like I said in my review, Infinite Sadness. I really should have been prepared. But I love melancholy and the infinite sadness, and that's never made me cry. So there was so much depth to this. And again, I definitely hated you guys, but I didn't not like the book. That's for darn sure. It was just a lot more than I expected. It was so well done. I had questions, as of course I do with any book that I read. When was this? Where was this? One of the things that you didn't
get to, I think, with the 50 years in the future type thing, because
I think it's I think I figured out the math. It's 50 years in the future in Canada.
Okay.
And the reason it's Canada is because the kid's hat is it's not a hat, it's a toque.
Right.
Although in the audiobook, she kept pronouncing it toque. And it drove me nuts. I looked it up.
Could be San Francisco.
Apparently it's either way. Apparently it's toque or toque. 50 years in the future, Canada.
It's just enough recognizable.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of science fiction.
Right.
I've actually taught this to students, and the best science fiction is the science fiction that we might live to see, and it's a science fiction that is very accessible to us now, and just add one or two steps that's not accessible to us yet.
All right,
and that's what really hits home with this book.
I honestly could see us getting here in 10 years.
Yeah.
Literally, this is a couple of switches away from being reality.
Which is scary, and which is what makes this whole
the scariest part is how reliant humanity in this book has become on the computer system,
right.
And they know it, and which is weird.
Just as an example of why we could get there so quickly, every one of those appliances already exists.
Yes,
and I think I own most of them.
Yes,
with the exception of the electric car. Well, and our fridge doesn't, but. There are fridges.
There are fridges that do.
There are fridges like that. We do have one of those, Roombas.
Right.
I'm wearing watch. We have several clocks in the house. One thing that I found was interesting: no phones. Did you notice that there were no phones?
I hadn't thought of that, but they still were able to communicate with people in some manner, but it was almost like it was regulated.
And I feel like there were also no computers.
Right.
It took everything we have and it just pushed it ahead about 50 years,
Yep.
as we've established,
Yep.
but made it stricter somehow.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, and we were talking about this shortly before we started recording this evening. I think, Craig, you said it best. We would love to have a friend like Scout.
Yes.
Oh,
And Scout was in the story, the Roomba, who was kind of sentient, and she was a very advanced model.
Yes.
Made sure to mention that multiple times. She was an advanced model. And I'm saying she because Scout and To Kill a Mockingbird was a she, and it just seems to fit.
She also referred to herself as a she.
Yes.
She
Okay.
decided
Yeah.
she was a girl.
Right. As I was explaining this to somebody, they're like, oh, really? What was the book about? I go, imagine The Brave Little Toaster, which the author recognized in the acknowledgments. Imagine Wall-E. And if anybody listening has read the book Olivetti, which is a middle grade book told from the perspective of a typewriter, sprinkle in a little bit of Toy Story just for the sentient beings, and then throw in some Big Brother from 1984, and that's what you've got.
And that's the part that, frankly, I wasn't as prepared for, was the dystopia. Because it wasn't Edie's death that bothered me, although I felt it.
Right.
Although, to be honest with you, I felt it more because Scout felt it.
Yes.
Scout's emotions tugged at my heartstrings more than Edie's death did. Scout trying to understand it really hit me harder than Edie herself dying. But I mentioned in the review, aside from being sad on several occasions, I was angry.
Yes, me too. Me too. I
Like,
agree.
like legit, like Hulk smash angry at some of the things that happened because it was just so dystopian.
Like when the drones came to
take the piano.
And the piano, in my view, was the personification, even though it's a machine, of humanity.
Because the piano is not mechanical.
Right.
It's almost like when you go back to, I know I haven't fully read the book I, Robot, which I should, but I've seen the movie multiple times when Spooner looks at Sonny and says, can a robot turn a canvas into a painting? He goes, can you? Like, can a Roomba turn the piano into a symphony?
Right. So the piano is the bridge between Harold and the humans and Katie and Scout, and it's a bridge between the two of them. Without the piano playing, there's not as much of a connection between the two sets of characters.
I also love the 10-year-old or the 11-year-old. I forget what his name is. Was it Andrew?
I thought he was great.
Oh,
Yep. So here's another thing to throw in there. You're talking about all these different books. Up.
Yes.
Because in my mind,
Yes.
Harold was the old guy from Up, and the kid was the kid, and I can't remember the name of either of the kids now.
Russell was in Up. That much I remember.
Yeah.
And Carl was the old man.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I had that vision going on as well. I thought that the author's use of words were good. It wasn't, nothing about it was difficult, but I never got bored with the words.
It was seriously easy to read. And I've mentioned before, I read books now with an idea like, oh, can I teach this in school? And this is one I would 100% be able to teach.
Oh, yeah, this would be great to teach.
And I legitimately think I might reread it at some point this fall and probably dive into it next spring, just because it's something where one of the things every teacher will tell you that they're battling with is the perils of AI.
So,
and this is
where it's a step above like 1984, because 1984, Big Brother's watching. There were humans watching. This is the computer algorithm saying this is not safe for you. You should not do it as a human. So we're going to prevent you from doing anything that will endanger you.
And the humans just, like so many humans, just went along with it.
Right.
You know, as Harold did, because he thought, well, it must be a good idea. So to a degree that the humans helped propel their own demise.
Yes.
Could you do this as a book? For class?
I think so.
Like,
I'm not sure how I would approach it yet.
It's a safer version of Antibot.
I'm much safer to use in school than Antibot.
I'm interested in the logistics. Would the kids have to buy their own books? Would the school how does that work?
I
just know that when I was in school, like the books we were using were all from like 40 years ago.
Well, this fall I had to put in a purchase order request for copies of Fahrenheit 451, which we did not have.
Okay.
If I want to teach a book like this, I could put in a PO and possibly do it in spring.
How many students do you have total?
I would just need to buy a class set. So I'm going to have probably anywhere from 60 to 90 students total, and I would really only need to buy 40 copies.
Okay.
Because I can leave them all in the classroom and go from there. So that's a possibility. But again, I would reread it really.
I was just interested in the logistics. I just
Oh yeah,
wondered how it works.
yeah. But logistically, it's 100% possible.
All right.
A lot of it is dependent on money in the budget and so on.
I think that kids could definitely enjoy this book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As adults, we enjoyed it.
Well, and I'm
and
talking high
unlike-
school students, not just middle school students. Yeah.
And unlike some of the we've discussed, the classics that we had to read, I think this could be very accessible for kids. I don't think there's anything in this book that kids wouldn't get.
One of the things that we have to ask as English teachers is like, what is the essential question? And my essential question would be this: what is the difference between a job and a purpose? And I think this book really dives into that, and it doesn't really give you a definitive answer. Well, and it might in terms of Scout, and I'm not going to get much further than that because that might spoil some things for those who wish to read it. But I do think the whole idea, the difference between having a job and having a purpose, is really like served up on a platter in this book, and you don't get an answer.
All right. Similarly, but a different tract, I thought it was interesting that the robots discussed the difference between pain and the lack of happiness. I assume it was Scout at some point said that, like, well, if we don't want them to be in pain, shouldn't we do what we can to make them happy? Right. Or something to that effect. And I thought that was a really very interesting thing for a very advanced vacuum cleaner to think of.
She's a very advanced model.
Yeah.
The fact that kept getting repeated, I'm like, this is a very well thought out idea to have this repeated rather than some other catchphrase, because it worked.
Yeah.
And I loved Otto knowing the difference between I'm being watched here and I'm not being watched here. So I'm going to Otto was the gray area.
Well, and so one of the things that you really got to think about that though with Otto is he didn't just figure that out.
Mm-mm.
He figured that out a long time ago.
Right.
Otto knew quite a while ago that the world might go sideways, and he needed to know how to, forgive the pun, navigate.
I have something to say after Craig, yes.
I would say that Otto is probably one of the older models. Because
Right.
you look at grandparent age people, they'll keep their cars for years and years and years.
True.
Because they won't want to do the new thing. So this is one of an older model. So it's seen more of the world through their sensors than the average car. That learning curve, because they're self-sentient.
This opens up a whole, in terms of teaching it, this opens up a whole new world of possibility. Think about it this way. If Otto has driven out in the world, Otto is more open to the possibility like, hey, I've seen this, I've seen this, I've seen this. Otto comes back and tells the other appliances, hey, this is going on. No, none of this is in the book. This is my pontificating here, right? Clock, who was on the wall, was Clock a digital clock? Was it a grandfather clock with a microchip? What was going on? Clock seemed to be very static and
stoic.
That too. And I think one of the things that sticks out to me now, based on what some of you both just said, is that the appliances who were stuck in the house had a very specific, static, almost stoic way of looking at things, except Scout, because Scout could move around in the house.
Well, and then the other part of that that doesn't fit, Watch left the house. Watch traveled all over the place. And yet Watch was an asshole.
Yeah. For real.
Yes. Yeah, but Watch also, I think, how much of Watch's personality, if you will, was directly tied to the
grid.
The grid.
Yeah,
one.
it was directly underneath the oversight of the grid. So that was
Watch was basically one of the people who was being controlled, or one of the appliances being controlled. But
no, I just want to know. Before you just referred to Watch as a people, and I think that's probably, if the author were to hear this, they would love it.
I think so too. I mean,
Glenn Dixon, by the way.
Glenn, if you're listening, Mr. Dixon, it was amazing. The book was phenomenal. Obviously, it had to be for us to be speaking about it this way, one way or the other.
Can we back up a little bit and talk about the chronology of the book? So the very beginning of the book, we meet Harold, we meet Edie, we meet the appliances, and it's brought up that there's an estranged daughter. She did something horrible.
Yes.
And for at least a third of the book, maybe even close to half of the book, we don't know what that was. Where did your minds go?
My mind, let's put it this way. I've been conditioned enough reading books where there's been some sort of character that we're going to meet that unless there is an explicit detail or a hint dropped before we meet this character, my mind doesn't go anywhere. I just kind of wait.
Mine actually was kind of in line with what
happened?
actually happened. She accidentally killed someone, was what my thought was.
All right.
I thought it was phenomenal the way she was brought in. Yes, she accidentally killed someone, but the manner in which it all took place and how
It was anti-machine.
Yes, and
Yes.
the humans weren't upset, the machines were upset, and that's what kind of like really turned the story on its ear.
I also think it's interesting that although she does not deny or doubt that she killed her friend, she's very sketchy on the specifics. She doesn't seem to remember anything with great clarity.
Which could happen if
which-
you're young and you have an event like that.
But it almost led me to believe, was she really at fault?
That's a good question. That's one of the things that's best about this book is that there's so many questions that do not have
Or
definitive
has she
answers.
been convinced over the course of the past 30 years or whatever?
Because
that she
she's
was-
working for the machines.
Yeah, but the end kind of gives us a little hint about, is she really working for the machines? But again, that's a minor spoiler warning, I suppose. The human characters that were in this book, and I would say
before you continue, it's going to be really difficult to do a podcast about books and make them spoiler free.
I understand.
People
that.
should listen to this after they read the book.
Fair enough. You got a point. All right. Well, in that case, major spoiler alert. All right. At the end, when Kate, the daughter, we find out where she is, what she's doing, and who her colleague and compatriot is, even though her colleague and compatriot can no longer speak. And speaking of which, I love the fact that the appliances we're led to believe they were able to speak to the humans. I don't know about anybody else. I have yet to meet anybody who owns a Roomba that can speak to them.
Yeah, mine does not. In fact, it doesn't even beep.
We have, smart devices where it's like, hey,
It might beep.
fair enough. But we have smart devices. We can like, hey, Alexa, feed the cats, and it'll do that. And we've got our cats conditioned enough to be Pavlovian to the point where the second we say Alexa, they run to the kitchen.
Interestingly, I thought the most human characters in this book were number 1, Scout,
Yes,
and number 2, Adrian, the boy.
Did you just look his name
I
up?
just looked it up.
I saw you on your phone, and I wanted to mentally say, look up the boy's name. Also, Fridge. I feel that Fridge was very human.
Fridge was worried about the food spoiling and who needed
But
what.
he was also very protective of Scout.
I honestly think that Fridge might have been one of my favorite characters because he wasn't wishy-washy, but he wasn't firmly on one side or another. He just seemed to be, kind of middle of the road.
kind of practical.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love the fact that we're talking about these characters as he, she, people.
Yeah.
Right.
And again, this was the author basically making us believe these machines are people. And people, I guess.
And the dangers of that.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Agreed.
So we're kind of falling into Harold's trap
I
ourselves.
guess so. Yeah. I hadn't thought of it that way. But there is so much to unpack with this book that we're going to leave this podcast when it's over and done with people that wondering what is going on. Maybe we should read this. Like, yes, you should.
I would 100% recommend it.
I told you, I know you said you didn't quite agree with me, but I've read 100 books so far. It's number 1 or number 2 of the books I've read so far.
It was very good. I definitely wouldn't put it that high, but it was very good. I'm certainly not upset that I read it. I want to get back to your point, though, about Adrian being one of your favorite characters. I loved Adrian for a variety of reasons.
He was flawed.
He was very flawed.
Mm-hmm.
I loved his background.
Yes.
Adrian's mom was some sort of undocumented person, was not supposed to be here, and as such didn't get the universal, basic allowance or whatever it was.
It was almost like they were coyoted in someone's basement.
For me, that made him feel for him more. And how hard it must have been for him as what was he, 10?
Yeah.
12, 10, 12,
yeah.
somewhere in there.
range,
But the one thing I liked about that was at 10 or 12, he's sneaking around to do things that his mother doesn't want him to do. We've all done that.
Oh, yeah.
That's totally a 10 or 12-year-old boy.
100%.
Absolutely.
But none of it was malicious.
None.
Didn't do anything. And his mom, of course, was just trying to protect him. She wasn't being a horrible mom. She was trying to protect her son.
And she thought that he was bothering Harold.
Yep.
And I think that happens a lot in our lives also, where don't bother him. He's
Meanwhile, that was Harold's favorite part of the day.
yes.
Well,
Yeah.
that I mean, you know me, I love to compare things to different other pop culture things. It's like the kids in the Sandlot going to James Earl Jones's character's house at the end he's like, I tell you what, you come over here and talk baseball once a week, we'll call it an even trade. Adrian's going over to play the piano
Mhm.
to practice for his recital that we never really find out about the recital, but we know that he actually succeeds and gets a certificate saying that he's really, really good or he's passed at whatever test. And Harold just loved it. Kate, when she showed up, she was enjoying every bit of it as well.
It triggered memories in Harold of when he first met Edie.
Edie, yeah.
And it kind of filled out both his character and her character, as well as Adrian's, when you really think about it. Like, what made him choose that particular song?
I love the story about how Harold met Edie.
Yes.
She was playing a song on the piano, right?
He was helping a
her
friend to move a piano.
Right.
And the friend was trying to hit on her.
Right. The friend was trying to get with that. And the friend screwed it up real bad, and Harold swooped in.
He swooped in with and has laid back, kind of like,
Oh, yeah.
nothing really bothers me type of
Yeah.
thing.
I get the impression that Harold has been the same person his entire life.
Right.
Yeah, Harold has always been this guy. I also loved his book collection.
That's the
Which
other
was-
thing.
Yes.
That's the other
So
thing
nice.
that was a big message. The machines collecting the books.
There was a little quote in there, and I had the book with me early this evening, but I loaned it out to somebody here at the house before we started recording.
The importance of books. Even the others knew that there was importance of books, but without the human element reading it, does it lose part of its message?
Well, it's like the tree falls in the forest, no one's there to hear it.
I think
Right.
the
What's
quote,
the point of a book if there's no one to read it?
correct.
right, and that's a great question given the fact that the machines at one point, and I'm going to get the quote entirely wrong, but the gist of the quote was something like, once the humans are gone, the books will be all we have left of humans.
Right.
And again, that goes back to my question, what is the machine's job versus the machine's purpose? Is it to maintain the existence of human history, or is it to preserve humans? What is it? It's a fascinating, like, philosophical debate you can start having here.
All right, movie tangent. Have either of you guys seen Definitely Maybe?
No.
It's been a long time.
All right. So Definitely Maybe, the male protagonist is dating a girl, and she is looking for a copy of Jane Eyre that her dad had bought for her and written a foreword to for her. Somehow or another in life, she lost it. And so she constantly goes to bookshops and looks for this and will buy any copy of Jane Eyre that has an inscription.
Okay.
Well, they break up. Years later, he finds it. And he goes to give it to her, but then when he goes to give it to her, she's with another guy, something awkward, blah, blah, blah. He ends up not giving it to her. And then he just keeps it. And then 10 years later, run into each other again or whatever. And he's like, I have this for you. And she's like, oh my God, how did you find it? Blah. He's like, I've had it for a long time, but it was the only thing I had of you. It's just kind of, I don't know.
Isn't Ryan Reynolds in
Yeah,
there?
Ryan Reynolds, yeah.
Okay. The plot sounds eerily familiar. Now here's another movie tangent to the plot of Serendipity, which has John Cusack and Kate Beckinsale.
I have not seen that.
They
Serendipity sounds very British.
Kate Beckinsale's very British.
And John Cusack is very not, so I don't know.
Correct. But they meet, they have a great first date, and he says, I want your name and number. She goes, well, if we're meant to meet again, it'll happen. And I forget which one writes which, but one writes their name on I think a $5 or a $10 bill or some American currency, name and number. And then the other one writes their name and number in the front page of Love in the Time of Cholera. The movie progresses, and it's a rom-com. You know they're going to wind up together, but the manner in which they do is, there lots of pratfalls and whatever along the way. But it was the same type of thing.
It just you mentioned the only thing I had of you. It just, as another example, I remember one time years ago ending a relationship, and like I kept a plant that they had left in my apartment because it was the only thing I had. Same type of thing.
Yeah.
In a 90-degree tangent from your chick flicks that you're watching.
We like our chick flick. I actually love chick flick, which shouldn't surprise anyone given the number of times I cried in the book.
The opening scene of the reboot of Battlestar Galactica, when the humans are waiting on the space station for the Cylons to show up.
Uh-huh.
That's the next step in this book. That's what's happening in the next 50 years.
Okay, forgive me, not an L. Ron Hubbard fan.
No. That's not L. Ron Hubbard.
I know. Sorry, that was Battlefield Earth.
Yeah.
Um,
You ever watch Battlestar Galactica?
I have
so
not. Sorry.
I've seen like the original series,
The 78
reruns,
series?
yeah, but I've never seen the movies.
Oh,
I don't know.
it may behoove you to see that.
All right, I'll put it on my list.
The bottom line is I can get what you're getting at, though, which is like 50 years from now, if we're not careful, AI is going to take over everything.
Right. And so there's a liaison between the human aspect of civilization and the machine aspect of civilization. So every year at the same time, this is kind of giving a spoiler to the beginning of the Battlestar Galactica reboot, they meet on a space station to discuss how we're going to keep from destroying each other. And then the whole thing takes off. So every year the humans wait for the machines to show up, and they never show up until when they do, they're hell-bent on destroying their creators.
I think that we are a certain degree of the way there already.
Yes.
Just think about last time you ordered something online and you didn't
I did it on your patio.
and you didn't get and you didn't get what you wanted or something, and like you tried to like reach out to customer service only to find that no humans work there.
Correct.
You're only talking to machines and they don't care. When I bought the coasters for the bar, they were delayed. And delayed. And I was trying to get a hold of somebody to be like, these are supposed to be a gift. They were supposed to be an anniversary gift because they're paper, and it was our paper anniversary.
Understood.
Could not get a human. Like no email, no phone number. The chat would only do AI. I think we're closer than 50 years.
I think you are eerily, scarily correct. It is a scary aspect. It's a scary prospect of things to be letting go of so much stuff that we should be able to handle on our own. I understand the concept, work smarter, not harder, but at the same time, you still got to do some work. Because if you give up so much, you're not going to have any idea what to do should things go sideways.
Sure, there were computers, and there were, what do you call those rulers? Slide rules.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to the moon on American ingenuity.
Oh, yeah.
Not on a computer program.
And black women doing math.
I love that movie.
Yes.
It's incredible.
Love
the book
that
was
movie.
Incredible, too.
I haven't read the book.
I need to read the book. At some point, maybe in the future, we'll
I
review
did
the
read
book.
The Astronaut Wives Club, which I thought was an amazing book, too.
That's Mary Robinette Kowal.
No. That was the women's astronaut series.
That's the Calculating Stars and
Right.
all those sequels,
Yep.
which we might also tackle at some point.
I just bought the whole set so that my girls can have a chance to read it.
So the movie adaptation of Hidden Figures
Mhm.
was very close to the book.
Did you know that Jack Black's mom was one of those women?
I did not know that.
Yeah, she's like a genius when it comes to math. And they told her that she couldn't do it. And then she worked on something.
Wait, you mean in real life?
In real life.
I'm sorry, I thought you meant in the movie.
No, in real life. Jack Black's
Which makes it
mom.
even more amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she was working up to the day she gave birth on this orbital mechanics thing
Really?
on how to get
She
to.
was one of the calculators.
Yeah. So the day he was born,
computers.
she was
They
working.
were computers.
Yeah.
She was working on how to get two capsules to work together.
And by the way, that's like a perfect loop because we come back to humans being computers,
Exactly.
and we started with computers being humans
Yeah.
or people.
Yeah. So I'm going to just throw this out there. If the author of this book, Glenn Dixon, is listening, I want you to understand that we've taken your book and related it to, I think, no less than Battlestar Galactica, Up, Wall-E, Hidden Figures. Let's see what else. What else would I mention? The Brave Little Toaster, which was mentioned.
You mentioned iRobot, right?
iRobot,
The
Definitely
chick
maybe.
flick you were talking
definitely
about.
maybe.
Definitely
Serendipity.
maybe, Oh, I'm going to tag him in it.
Oh, please do, because there's so much here. We said on our inaugural podcast for this one that my goal was to read 52 books a year, and I was super behind. I have since made a nice leap forward, but I'm still very behind. On the list of books I've read this year, this is right up there in my top 5.
I'm at 27.
I'm at.
You read 27 books?
Yeah. I don't know how the hell that happened, but I found that out the other day. I'm at 27.
I'm picking up the pace. I'm finally like in 12. The second half of the school
That was
year.
last month.
No, I know for you, but the second half of the school year slowed me down so bad that I didn't really pick up reading again until the middle of June.
So we talked last time you guys were here about doing advanced reader copies.
Yeah, I would like to do that.
So
So they
I
don't do them on audio, though, do they?
Some do.
Really?
So I signed up for a couple different services, and I actually got one book from one service and 2 books from another.
What are your requirements by getting them?
With most of them, the requirements are simply you have to promise to do a review if it's 3 stars or above.
Okay.
If you do not finish it, you have to tell them you do not finish it, and then you are not required to do a review.
All right.
Also, if it's less than 3 stars, you're not required to do a review. So I read one so far, and it was a list of short stories.
I have a hard time reading short stories.
It wasn't the worst.
I like short stories that are interconnected somehow. You don't realize that they're interconnected until you have to finish the whole thing.
Until
and
you find out it's all in one park.
Yeah, exactly.
I finished this book the other day, but as I'm reading it, I have decided in my head that this is maybe a high school student author,
Okay.
maybe college, maybe early 20s, definitely young. They're in their, at least in their 40s. And my opinion of the book's
Dropped
stories,
after that?
I still gave him a good review because I did enjoy it. It was a series of short stories, and they were all supernatural-ish.
Okay.
There was something supernatural.
Little Dean Koontzy.
Yeah. Reminded me of, do you remember the Twilight Zone magazine?
Yes.
Reminded me of that,
Okay.
but not written quite as well.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I had a subscription to that magazine at one
I
point.
definitely did. And so Alfred Hitchcock magazine too.
Yeah, and there's another one too. An Asimov one. I can't
Yeah.
remember.
I found at least half a dozen typos.
Well, it's an advanced
It
reader
is
copy.
an advanced copy.
I get that, but
That's what you're reading it for, is for those also.
I don't know. I will tell you this. So it may have been an advanced reader copy, but it's available for purchase on Kindle. So to me, it's not as an advanced,
Right. I want an
The-
arc
the-
of Edward Ashton's next book.
the first person to read this should have
Edward,
caught
are you
these.
listening?
The first person to read this should have caught those typos.
I understand exactly where you're coming from. As someone like you and I both used to work in newspapers, certain typos stick out to us like sore thumbs.
Yeah. Another thing, there was in one of the stories that I read, I'm pretty sure somebody's name changed for a couple pages and then changed back.
That annoys me, not necessarily in books, but in critical reviews of books or movies where somebody is reviewing a book or a movie and they get the character's name wrong and they're panning what they're reviewing. It's like, obviously you didn't like it
read it.
because you didn't spend enough time.
Right.
Give me a break.
Full disclosure, when I wrote my novel, I decided halfway through that one of my characters' names was too close to another character's name, so I changed
I
it.
think that's exactly what happened here. And they just missed a couple of the
And it's
references.
exactly what happened. And my wife was reading through it. She goes, you have 2 names here, and it's the same person. And I was like, yeah, I changed the name, and I thought I got them all.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what happened. And that's fine. And I am fine with advanced review copies. But I don't think that ARC readers should be taking the place of editors. There still should have been an editor
Correct.
first.
You're
And-
reading for content.
And a moderately decent editor should have caught these things. Long story short, I enjoyed it. Wasn't my favorite. Seemed a little juvenile. I'd probably read something else that they put out. I don't know that I'd pay for it.
That was like the book that I started this morning. I told you guys about it in the chat. Seek Immediate Shelter.
Uh-huh.
Great premise. I mean, phenomenal premise. And in the first chapter, which is the first characters, a group of characters, and it's their reaction to this, the message that comes in. I'm not sure, and I said it to you, I'm not sure the author actually has ever talked to another human being. Because it is so... It makes George Lucas dialogue look Shakespearean.
Yeah.
And I think that's a problem that we have as a society. We put up privacy fences. We don't talk to our neighbors as much. We're not as interconnected with humans as we are with social media, which is not the same.
No, it's
and
not.
that kind of goes back to the infinite sadness.
Yeah.
It's that same thing.
We haven't touched on that yet. And I'm looking at the time, and I know we're kind of getting ready to start to wrap up here.
I have another thought I want. So let me
You want to go
claim
first?
next.
You can go first.
I'll claim next.
All right. Infinite sadness. Are we talking about the sadness? I mean, I know the title is Infinite Sadness of Small Appliances, but could it not also be the infinite sadness of the humans who have let the appliances take over everything?
Sure.
Whose sadness is truly being talked about in this book?
All of them.
Well, and here's a crazy thought. What if the appliances have to have emotions because we don't anymore?
That's
That's
some
a
of
great
it.
thought. And there's another
Yeah.
thing that I wanted to bring up too is what happens to these machines when the humans are gone?
Right.
Then are they sad?
Right. Right.
Because what's their purpose?
right.
Job versus purpose. There we go.
Yeah.
So I want to get back to my other thought that I had that just popped up. Kate had mentioned that she wanted to travel. She wanted to go overseas. And Harold said, well, you can't do that anymore. That was the thing that I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, why
Like
not?
we can't go, like we can't leave our neighborhoods anymore. Like I wanted to know more about that.
Right. And it seemed to me like it was about the carbon or whatever going into the air from jet travel and burning
I didn't
fossil
even
fuels.
consider that. I was just confused as to like, wait, why can't we? Yeah.
I want a sequel with Kate and Scout. I want a sequel knowing what she's going to do now that, like, when the book ends, Kate is not necessarily on the grid anymore.
Right.
I want to know what she's doing. I want an adventure story with her and Scout to find out what's going on.
I want a sequel where Kate takes down the grid. And
I kind of thought that was
disappointment.
I kind of thought that was going to happen.
I thought that that's where we were going to end up. And again, maybe we will in a sequel, but that is my one disappointment was, and as I got later in the book, I was like, there's not time for her to take him out. Like, what's going on?
I'm actually glad she didn't. That would have been too neat.
Yeah, I feel you there. I did like the epilogue overall, though, and I don't always like epilogues. Sometimes I feel like epilogues are lazy.
And
I feel like this worked.
And I like the fact that the epilogue wasn't giving you and they lived happily ever after.
Right.
They lived.
And they're still fighting the good fight.
They're still fighting the fight, and it's mostly just Kate at that point because Scout can't.
Right.
And when you recognize why Scout can't and what Scout did to make sure that certain things could happen leading up to the ending and the epilogue, it makes you...
And what's more human than that sacrifice that Scout made?
Exactly.
Right.
You know, it is.
It's like I said at the beginning, I think that would be closer friends with Scout than most of the people I actually know.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should all have a Scout in our corner. And going back to what you guys said regarding the book collection, you know, I'm not the biggest fan of To Kill a Mockingbird, but I understand the choice the Roomba made to have Scout be the name because Scout is a phenomenal character.
And that actually leads to another thought about Scout. How long she's been in the household to know that story.
Yeah. Well, Harold
had been
reading it to Edie multiple times.
Right.
So,
but it's not a one reading type of thing.
No. Although, I mean, I have questions.
Yeah, no, this is something that Scout absorbed over. I think she said she'd been there a year, maybe.
Yeah, and they'd probably read it a few times.
Yeah.
I'm glad that Scout didn't choose the name Holden because Catcher in the Rye was also mentioned in this book, and I'm just not a fan of that book.
There's another point, getting back to like, it's the only thing I have left. Harold was mad because the book had been closed. Because it was open to where he was.
Yes.
And
the last time he read to her.
Yeah. And that was one of those things that hit me. And it's kind of hit me now. All right. Next book.
Well, first, I think it's pretty obvious we give this book 6 thumbs up.
Yes. Well, at least 5. Yeah. No, it
5.5.
Yeah.
So what are we doing next week?
Next week, we're going to dive into the dungeon. Yes.
I'm so excited about this.
I
am so excited about this.
Dungeon Crawler Carl is next up.
Remind me next week, and I'll listen to it when I listen to the show, that I have a great story about Dungeon Crawler Carl. I have to say it slowly.
I always have to say, I screw it up all the time. Dungeon Crawler Carl for our next episode. I am currently midway through my second read on book 1. My second listen on book 1. And we're going to discuss, because you guys are both reading the physical copies, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
I am listening to the audio, which is amazing. We'll talk about the differences, but I'm excited about that. Anybody listening, by the way, if you have also read The Infinite Sadness of Small Appliances, let us know what you think of our opinions. You know, you can comment on our YouTube. You can comment on the blog posts. We have some social media rolling out there. We want to know, like, this is our book club, but like, you're all unofficial members.
We would like to be throwing some comments that have been mentioned on previous podcasts, on future podcasts, just so that we can interact with you. It would be a nice idea. And who knows where it goes from there.
We want to keep human interaction because we don't all have Roombas.
Right. And yes, it's human interaction using a computer, but it's still interaction.
Yeah.
And if you want to hear more of our podcast, you can do a couple things. You can either sponsor us.
That'd be cool.
That'd be nice.
We're cheap, mostly. Or you could drop books off at Scott's house that you want us to read.
There's that too.
Yeah. Or either of our houses.
Or actually, I mean, honestly, so if you are an author and you want us to read your book, get a hold of us. I mean, maybe we would be willing to. Maybe we wouldn't. I'm not a huge fan of like romance. So
we'll read just about anything at this point.
I'm not a fan of romance.
Me neither. I live it. Why do I need to read it?
Yeah, oh wow. And on that corny ass note, Craig, Howie, thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Buzzwords.